to continue President Obama's criminal justice reform? If so, how do you plan to resist Attorney General Sessions? And let me start with Justin.
The answer is yes. I do plan to resist. And unfortunately, and I also am a former federal prosecutor. I was in the Major Crimes and Narcotics Unit of the U.S. Attorney's Office. I had the honor and pleasure of working with Gene there for about nearly 2.5 years. And I'm someone who believes that we have to fight to continue the advances we have made to be smarter on crime, to be more humane, less punitive, particularly with nonviolent drug offenders, people dealing with mental health issues and drug addiction. And what Jeff Sessions wants to do is to drag us back into the failed drug war of the 1980s. A drug war that has ripped our communities and our families apart. I grew up, as I mentioned, in inner city Washington, D.C. in the mid-1980s. I lost many friends to gun violence, to drugs, both selling and using. And so we in Virginia have to continue President Obama's legacy to be progressive at the state level. We need to look at mandatory minimum sentencing reform, which is a state prerogative. We also need to look at reducing the school to prison pipeline, really eliminating it. We are #1 in the country in terms of referring young people to the criminal justice system for school-based infractions. We have got to dismantle that school to prison pipeline, and I promise that I will, as Lieutenant Governor, lead on that issue.
Thank you.
We do have to continue President Obama's lead. As Justin mentioned, we are #1 in the country in school to prison pipeline. And that's why I talk about the need for a children's advocate in the governor's cabinet. When I travel around this Commonwealth in areas that are really suffering a lot more than we are up here, they need a helping hand. They have children who are mentally, physically, emotionally disabled, and their parents are making minimum wage, which is not to survive on. They don't know where to go to help, and a lot of the school counselors don't know how to tell them where to go there. So I think by having a children's advocate who will condense all services in 7 different agencies housed under one roof, kind of like we did with the Department of Homeland Security after 9/11, because we have a crisis here in Virginia right now with our children with addiction, with school to prison pipeline, and learning problems. And that's what I think the first thing that we need to do is open up the process so that everyone knows what's available to them to help them make a better life. Thanks.
Thank you.
My friends, principle, past, and passion. This is an issue that really strikes me. For the last 20 years, I led the largest federal state investigation into the opioid epidemic in United States history. It was called Operation Cotton Candy. If you're really bored tonight, go on Netflix, and there's a documentary called Dr. Feelgood. And that documentary is about me, it's about my investigation, and it's about a trial against a McLean doctor named William Hurwitz, who wrote prescriptions for 1,200 oxy pills a day. Here's what I've learned from that investigation. I put away some bad dudes, cartel members, a man who killed 35 people and remembered every death. But here's what I've learned from all that, because I dealt with addiction and individuals who cooperated. Addiction is a disease, and mass incarceration is not the cure. And we don't need more prisons, we need more rehabilitation programs, and we should go back to the 1980s.